Next on the program, from down under, we have Vikesh. So if you don't know this guy, we've known him for a number of years. He is bold. He is out there. He is he's a great friend. So it's my honor to introduce Vikesh. Vikesh, take it away.
Thanks, Tom, and excited to be here. So I'll just share a screen here with a few slides. So hopefully people can see that. I'll just look for a nod to sort of say, yes, you can see that. Yes. Okay, good. All right. So look, the title of my slide is specific in nature and intentional in the two words that people don't really hear often together, right? The word confident and the word stutter. And unfortunately, and this, this goes, following what Jane said about how society perceives stuttering and how we even talk about stuttering, right? And I'm here to challenge that notion that you can have a stutter and still rock it with confidence, right? So this is a little bit about my journey. I have met thousands of people, grew up in the US, lived in Canada, now in Australia. I've met thousands of people who stutter. I have yet to meet anyone who stutters like me, right? So this is my journey, but hopefully you can get some things out of it that can perhaps help understand your own journey, if that makes sense. And then also, I know there's people from the wider study community on here as well, friends, family, speeches, speech pathologists, they call them speeches in Australia. I'm not sure why. And so this is an opportunity for them to learn as well. So as I mentioned, I lived in Canada for a period of time, so I'm also Canadian, and I grew up apologizing for something that is part of who I am. So just think about that for a second, right? I don't apologize for my height. I don't apologize because I wear glasses. I don't apologize for a lot of my characteristics, but I grew up apologizing a lot, saying, oh, sorry, I have a stutter. Oh, sorry, and the apology came out of guilt. I felt guilty that the person had to wait longer for my thoughts to finish versus a fluent person. I felt ashamed. I didn't meet or speak about stuttering until I was 28, so for more than half my life. And so living in isolation with something like stuttering can make you feel these sorts of like shame and embarrassment, because I must be the only one that speaks like this. And my stuttering evolved from overt in primary school, high school, where it was quite obvious, to what I deemed to be applying to be a CIA operative, right? So as I entered university, I just became smarter, right? And my thesaurus became broader, and I was able to change words on the fly. So while that allowed me to become more social, which I was not able to do in my earlier years, the sort of downside to that was that I was analyzing and inspecting every single word I said 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it never stopped. And at the end of the day, I would always, analyze that previous day and saying, did anyone catch me out there, right? And what I learned over time is I was more fear of judgment than the actual block, the actual moment of stuttering itself, right? I would rather have change my words on the fly and the sentence not make sense, then I would rather someone found out that I had a stutter. And that, yeah, that's a bit hard, right? That's and I don't think it's fair either, right? That I'm choosing to go through all these lengths. I mentioned this part already, but it is as unique as our DNA. So I think it's very hard to find a one size fits all philosophy, mentality, whatever it is, path forward. As it relates to that. Sorry, my slides. And this is never good because I'm the IT person, so my computer usually doesn't hiccup here. So apologies because my screen is stuck here. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. All right, I will leave it here maybe. Okay, sorry, so we're back. So some of the things that I've done to build confidence sort of in myself as a person, as a human, as a father, son, brother, is, and I'll talk about some of these things, right? I'll refer to speech therapy as a toolkit, right? So there are a variety of different tools out there from a variety of different sources. Some people don't require or aren't interested in any of the tools. That's fine as well. Some people may choose to use all of the tools, and some people may choose to embark on a journey that says, okay, well, thanks for all the info, but I'm really only going to use that one thing when I need it, and then everything else is there on the back burner if I choose well, right? So just remember, it's your own journey. So our toolkit is exactly that. Toastmasters. So I joined Toastmasters when I was living in Canada, so a while ago. And for those who don't know, Toastmasters is a worldwide public speaking program and organization that helps people to address their number one fear in life. So the number one fear for the average person, and this isn't like stuttering community versus fluency, this is just in general, is public speaking. So people would rather die than speak in public. And so it is, so Toastmasters really helped with gaining, so I guess a couple of things. One, gaining skills that are applicable, well, at least they have been for me, such as pausing, eye contact, other things that are required in general presentation skills. But also, you're with a group of people that have a similar fear that you may, which is public speaking, but most of the people in the room don't actually stutter. So I found it to be an amazing and interesting and empowering experience where I was like, oh, so I'm not here because I stutter. I'm here with these like-minded people, learning how to become a better public speaker. So I would highly encourage, if you haven't already, check out the local Toastmasters in your area in the world. Support group. So as I said, my first engagement or interactions with other people who stutter was in actually Florida, Boca Raton to be exact. So October / November 2001, right? And that was the first time. It was a light bulb moment for me to realize that there are other people that have had similar experiences, that have similar experiences to me, and it changed my world, right? It changed my life, going from I'm the only one in the world that speaks like this to wait, there's 70-80 million people like this. So yeah, so this is an example of a support group for the youth in Australia, so the Stuttering Association for the young, and then in Australia we also have the Australian Speakeasy Association for the adult population as well. So health and fitness was something that I didn't always do, but in terms of building my confidence, this is my bike here, and this is overlooking the Brisbane River here in Australia. And so health and fitness became very important to me, and still is today. And I just think, taking care of yourself, not only mentally but also physically, can help you again just be comfortable with who you are as a person. And I was a little bored a couple of years ago, so I decided to do a stand-up comedy course, which still invokes a bit of fear, which is good, but it was about challenging myself, right? It was about doing something that can continue to help build my confidence and help me grow as a person. And stand-up comedy is it's a fun hobby, right? Making people laugh is hard. I think I'm funny, but proving to other people that you're funny, that's a bit more complicated. But look, it's a fun hobby. I don't get paid for any of my gigs yet, but I'll continue to explore it. And all those things that I've spoken about, let's just call it the Vikesh technique, right? Like, you've got to find whatever parts of the puzzle that will make you live your life, do what you want to do, and most importantly for me, say what I want to say when I want to say them, right? And that's something that I did avoid for a long period of time. Acceptance is complicated, not for everybody. I would never have even thought about this word for the majority of my life, but I'll touch on it here, just food for thought. So, and I know this was also mentioned by Jane, but it's the way we talk, right? A few years ago, my kids were a bit younger, and we were at the dinner table, and I said, but, and my son goes, but, and I said, oh, we haven't had the talk. So I said, and so in a split second, I had to figure out how to explain stuttering, which I thought my kids already knew, but they obviously didn't. So I said, right. So look, stuttering is like an accent, right? So like we have a Canadian accent, and we live in Australia. So it's the way that I talk, right? It is part of my accent, and sometimes the words will bounce, and sometimes they'll slide. But sometimes that's how the words will come out, and don't make fun of people. But and I tried to simplify it in the fastest way possible. Accepting other people's journeys. The stuttering community, we are a unique lot, as they would say in Australia. I think they use the word lot here. So accepting other people's journeys, right? Like I said, I've met so many people who stutter, and we all have our own journeys, right? And I know people get really excited when they find something and they're like, oh, this works for me. This should work for everyone in the stuttering community, all 80 million people. It should work. Why? Because it works for me, right? So I would ask you, please just accept other people's journeys. Not everyone wants insert what your goal is here to other people, right? So and that was hard for me at first, right? Because I was like, well, what do you mean I accept my stuttering? How come you can't accept it? And then look, if I had the same level of fluency or disfluency or different experiences, behaviors, it's not as easy as it seems, right? And educating the listener. I used to get really annoyed when people would give me this look like, oh, did you forget your name? Because I still stutter on my name. I have zero fear, zero anxiety. it's the way it is, right? But people would, and then I was like, oh, right. We're the 1%, right? I didn't speak and meet other people who stutter until I was 28, and I seeked it out. So I can pretty much guarantee the person I'm speaking to who has this confused look because my name has 3 V's, they just don't know what's happening. So it's not like a get out of jail card for being rude, and people are not rude, but it's an opportunity to educate them. Right? Oh, this thing. Oh, I just have a stutter. And as soon as you say that, they then know what's happening, because again, it's an invisible disability, and then you have an opportunity to continue the conversation. Look at that, with 3 minutes to go.